Lesson 1. The emotional trap versus the 1090 reality. Imagine your life is moving along a smooth road. Everything is going fine, and then suddenly one day something happens that was completely out of your control. Like failing an important exam, suddenly losing your job, or a close relationship falling apart. This is that 10%, the unavoidable crisis. This is the part that happens to you whether you want it to or not. But the real game starts right here, because the remaining 90% depends entirely on how you react. We often make the mistake of turning that 10% into 100%, meaning we take one small event and blow it up so big in our minds that it takes over our entire life. In reality, the problem is never as large as our reaction makes it. You must have noticed that two people in the exact same situation behave in completely different ways. One falls apart, panics, and overthinks. The other handles that very same situation calmly, finds a solution, and moves forward. The difference is not in the situation. The difference is in the reaction. Now the question is, why does this happen? Why does our brain automatically go into panic mode? The answer is hidden in our neurobiology. There is a part of the brain called the amygdala. Its job is to detect danger and react immediately. Whenever an unexpected problem arises, the amygdala instantly activates and sends a signal to the body. Danger. Something has gone wrong. After this, the body goes into fight or flight mode. The heartbeat speeds up, breathing becomes fast, and the mind starts running on just one thought. What is going to happen now? This is the moment when our brain reacts emotionally rather than logically. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision-making and logic, temporarily weakens. This is exactly why we cannot make the right decisions in that moment. We become fixated on the problem rather than the solution. Our focus stays on why this happened instead of what to do now. Think about it. When you are in panic mode, your mind keeps replaying the same scene over and over like a broken record. You imagine worst-case scenarios, worry about the future, blame yourself, and slowly you get trapped in the emotional trap. This trap is dangerous because it consumes energy, but the output is zero. You exhaust yourself, but the problem stays exactly where it was. Now, here is something interesting to understand. The brain naturally focuses more on problems than solutions. This is called negativity bias. In the time of our ancestors, this was necessary because survival depended on quickly identifying danger. But in today's world, that same mechanism works against us. Even a small problem starts feeling life-threatening. Now imagine a real-life situation. Let's say you had an important job interview that you had prepared very hard for. But the interview went badly. This is the 10%. What happened has happened. Now the 90% begins. One reaction could be that you start blaming yourself. I am worthless. I can't do anything. My life is over. You pull away from friends, start fearing the next opportunities, and gradually your confidence disappears. This is the emotional trap. But a second reaction is also possible. You accept that the interview went poorly. But you ask yourself, okay, what can I improve now? You analyze the feedback, prepare for the next interview, and take action. The difference between the two is only in the reaction. The outcome will be completely different. Now the most important part comes. How do you get out of emotional paralysis? Because when we are in panic mode, the body freezes and we cannot do anything. It feels like the mind has stopped working. Here you need to remember one simple rule. Action kills panic. Whenever you feel like the situation is going out of control, force yourself in that moment to take one small action. Not something big. Just one small step. For example, if you are overwhelmed, simply take a piece of paper and write down what can I do right now. This small step signals your brain that you are in control. Gradually, as you start taking action, the prefrontal cortex begins to reactivate. Your focus starts shifting from the problem to the solution. And this shift is the game changer. Because when energy goes in the right direction, results start to follow. One more thing that is very important. You need to protect your energy. Emotional reactions drain energy. If you react to every little thing, when you truly need that energy, it simply won't be there. So train yourself not to react immediately to every situation. Pause for a moment, breathe, and then consciously decide how to respond. This is not easy, but it is possible with practice. In the beginning, you will keep falling into the emotional trap. But gradually awareness will grow and a point will come when you automatically understand, this is the 10%. The remaining 90% is in my hands. Remember that problems in life will never end. Every level will bring new challenges. If you enjoy our free summaries, you can subscribe to our channel, get our membership, or support us directly. Now let's get back to the summary. But if you have understood that your reaction creates your reality, then you can handle any situation. Because then you will no longer be a victim. You will become the creator. In the end, just understand this one thing. Your brain was built to protect you. But its method is not always right. Your job is to guide it. Whenever panic comes, tell yourself this is only 10%. My real power is in the 90%. And then, without overthinking, start taking action. Gradually, you will notice that the very situations that used to break you are now making you stronger. Because now you are not reacting. You are responding. And this is the very difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one. Lesson 2. Deconstructing chaos into data points. Have you ever felt like life has suddenly become so messy that you don't even know where to begin? Like everything is falling apart at the same time. Emotions, plans, confidence, and the mind is just sending one signal. Too much. I can't handle this. This is the moment we call chaos. But the truth is that chaos is not a real thing. It is simply unorganized information, meaning the problem is not actually large. It is just unclear. Whenever a major personal crisis hits, our mind sees it as one giant block, like a massive wall that drains your energy just by looking at it. But if that same wall were broken down into individual bricks, suddenly it starts to feel manageable. This is the concept of deconstructing chaos into data points. Breaking every big problem into smaller parts so the mind can process it. Understand it this way. You are in a very heavy situation. You think everything is going wrong. But everything is actually a combination of specific things. Like a financial issue, relationship stress, self-doubt, time management problems. But because all of this gets mixed together, you feel like your entire life has fallen apart. In reality, the problem is not life itself. The problem is some parts of it. When you start breaking down this chaos, clarity begins to arrive. You ask yourself what exactly is going wrong, and then you write down the answers. This step seems simple, but it is powerful because as long as a problem is vague, it is scary. The moment it becomes clear, the fear starts to fade. Now the second step comes, filtering out external noise. When we are in a crisis, the biggest mistake we make is that we start listening to everyone. Friends, relatives, social media, random advice. Everyone is saying something or another. And all of this combined only increases the confusion. You get more tangled up in other people's opinions than in your actual problem. Remember that not every piece of advice is meant for you. Every person speaks from the perspective of their own life, not yours. So it is essential that you identify what the actual issue is. Is this an emotional problem or a practical issue? Is there a skill gap or is it just the result of a wrong decision? When you remove the noise, the core problem comes forward. And often it is not as complex as it seemed at first. But to see it, you need honesty. You have to tell yourself the truth. Yes, this is where I made a mistake. This is where I need to improve. This is where I need to accept reality. Now, the third and most powerful step is the mental audit. This is basically a process where you analyze your situation and divide it into two parts. What you can control and what you cannot control. This sounds simple, but in practice, very few people take it seriously. You have to ask yourself, in this entire situation, what is within my control? And then honestly make a list. Things like your actions, your habits, your effort, your learning, your attitude, all of this falls within your control. And then make the second list. What is not in my control? Things like past events, other people's behavior, timing, luck, external circumstances. Now, here is a harsh truth. People waste 80% of their time on things that are not within their control and ignore the things that actually are. This is exactly why they stay stuck. When you do a mental audit, you realize that you actually have quite a lot of power. You were just directing it the wrong way. The moment you shift your focus, your energy automatically starts going to the right place. Now, let's take a small real-life example. Say someone had a small business and suddenly took a loss. Now there is chaos in their mind. Money is gone. The future is uncertain. What will people say? What will happen next? Everything is mixed together. But if they break the situation down into data points, they will see what the actual issues are. Maybe the product pricing was wrong, the marketing was weak, or the understanding of the customer was not clear. Now, if they keep listening to everyone's advice, do this, do that, they will become even more confused. But if they remove the noise and focus only on the core issue, they will realize they need to fix their strategy. Then they do the mental audit. What is within their control? They can improve their skills, do market research, try a new approach. What is not within their control? The past loss, the economy, other people's opinions. The moment this clarity comes, the fear reduces and action begins. This is the entire game. Clarity versus confusion. Chaos always creates confusion and clarity eliminates it. But one thing is important to understand. This process does not end after doing it once. It has to become a habit. Every time life feels messy, you need to remind yourself, this is not chaos. This is just unorganized data. And then the work is to break it down. In the beginning, it will feel time-consuming. But gradually, it will become your thinking style. You will automatically start breaking down problems. And most importantly, you will stop feeling overwhelmed. Because overwhelm happens when the mind feels it cannot understand the situation. The moment understanding arrives, the feeling of control comes back. And a person does not break down as long as they feel they can do something. One more important thing. You do not need to solve every problem. Some things simply need to be accepted. This sounds simple, but it is the hardest thing to actually do. Because our ego wants us to fix everything. But the reality is that some things cannot be fixed. They can only be bypassed. When you accept this, your mind becomes free. You can invest that energy into areas where there will be actual impact. And this is smart living. You do not need to fight every battle. You need to choose the right battles. In the end, understand this. Chaos will never fully disappear from life. But your ability to handle it can grow. And that is only possible when you replace emotional reactions with an analytical approach. The next time life feels messy, don't panic. Tell yourself, let's break this down into data. Pick up each piece. Understand it, categorize it, and then decide what to do. Gradually, you will see that the very situations that once frightened you have now become puzzles. And puzzles are not frightening. They are interesting. The only difference is perspective. And when the perspective changes, the entire reality changes. Lesson 3. The rapid response framework for mental clarity. Has it ever happened that a situation suddenly appeared in front of you and your mind was instantly overloaded? Like you start thinking about everything at once. What will happen? How will it happen? What will people think if it goes wrong? And in this spiral of thoughts, you end up doing nothing at all. This is the exact point where clarity disappears and confusion takes control. For moments like these, there is a simple but powerful approach. The rapid response framework for mental clarity. This means that when the mind is unstable, instead of reacting instantly, you handle yourself in a structured way. The very first step is a 5-minute cool-down period. It sounds small, but it changes the entire game. When a high-pressure situation arrives, your nervous system instantly activates. The body goes into stress mode. Heart rate increases, breathing becomes shallow, and the mind starts thinking fast but randomly. The decisions you make in that state come from panic, not clarity. So the rule is simple. Do not make any major decision immediately. Force yourself to take at least a 5-minute pause. You will not use these 5 minutes to solve the problem, but to stabilize yourself. You can sit quietly, do deep breathing, or simply observe your thoughts without engaging with them. In the beginning, it will feel like a waste of time because the mind will say, hurry up and do something. But in reality, this very pause is what saves you from making the wrong decision. When you take these 5 minutes, your nervous system gradually begins to calm. The amygdala's intensity reduces, and the prefrontal cortex begins to reactivate, meaning you can think logically again. This is the moment where clarity returns. Remember, moving fast and moving right are two different things. Not every urgent-looking thing is actually urgent. Now, when your mind becomes a little stable, the next step comes. Categorization. Meaning placing whatever tasks or problems are in front of you into separate categories. A simple division works well here. Immediate survival and long-term stability. Immediate survival means the things that demand your attention right now. If you ignore them, the situation could get worse. Like a critical deadline, an urgent responsibility, or a task that simply cannot be delayed. On the other side, long-term stability includes the things that will improve the future but do not need to be done immediately. The problem happens when we mix the two. Everything starts feeling equally urgent. And when everything feels urgent, nothing is actually clear. You start one task, then remember another, then a third one, and in the end, nothing gets done properly. This is called decision fatigue. When the mind gets so exhausted from too many options and pressure that it stops making effective decisions. When you categorize things, clarity suddenly arrives. You ask yourself, what is the most important thing in this moment? And then you focus only on that. You temporarily set aside the rest. This does not mean the other things are not important. It just means it is not their turn right now. This approach conserves your energy, because every decision you make consumes energy. And if you keep making decisions about every little thing, you will quickly become mentally exhausted. But when you categorize things, your decisions become limited and focused. Now, the third and most practical step comes. The one next right step philosophy. This concept is very simple, but its power is enormous. Whenever you are overwhelmed, your mind starts seeing the entire journey all at once. I have to do this, then that, then this will happen. And seeing this entire chain freezes you in place. The rule of this philosophy is simple. Do not think about the whole journey. Think only about the next right step. Just one step. Nothing more. Say you have a complex problem in front of you. If you try to solve the whole thing at once, the mind will block up. But if you ask yourself, what is the smallest right action I can take right now? The answer becomes easy. Like calling someone, checking a piece of information, or just completing one small task. When you take this one step, momentum builds. Then the next step becomes visible. Then the next. And gradually the entire problem starts getting solved. But if you never start, nothing will move forward. The biggest cause of overthinking is exactly this, that we do not take action. We keep thinking, analyzing, imagining, but we do not move. And until there is movement, there is no clarity. Clarity comes from action, not from thinking. Now let's take a small real-life example. Say a student has an important project submission coming up, but they have not properly started working on it yet. The deadline is getting closer, and they are in a panic. Thoughts are swirling around. There is so much work left. How will it get done? What happens if I don't submit? And in this very stress, they end up doing nothing at all. Now, if they apply the rapid response framework, first they will take a 5-minute pause. They will let the panic settle a little. Then they will categorize the tasks. What is the immediate survival priority? Clearly the project submission. Other things like social media and random distractions are irrelevant right now. Now, instead of looking at the entire project all at once, they will focus only on the one next right step. Like first creating an outline or writing one section. Just one small step. When they do this, they get a little confidence. Then they take the next step. Gradually, the project gets completed. If they had kept thinking about the entire project at the start, they might not have done anything at all. The difference is only in the approach. Now it is important to understand that this framework is not a magic trick that changes everything in one day. It is a habit that needs to be practiced repeatedly. In the beginning, you will forget. You will react directly in panic mode. But gradually you will start remembering. Wait, first take a pause, then categorize, then take one step. And as this pattern becomes stronger, your mental clarity will grow. You will get better at handling situations. You will not panic as quickly. And even if you do, you will recover faster. One more important thing. Clarity does not mean you will have an answer to every question. Clarity means that even in confusion, you can maintain direction. You know what the next step is, even if the full picture is not yet clear. This mindset is what makes you strong. Because uncertainty will always exist in life. But if you have a system to handle it, you will never be completely lost. In the end, make yourself one simple promise. The next time any stressful situation comes up, you will not react immediately. You will take a 5-minute pause, categorize things, and then take just one right step. These small steps together build great clarity. And when clarity comes, confidence comes on its own. Because now you are not guessing. You are moving consciously. Gradually, you will notice that the very situations that used to confuse you have now become manageable. Because now you have a system. And having a system in life is the greatest advantage of all. Lesson 4. Strategic action and resource allocation. When pressure arrives in life, the biggest mistake people make is that they start taking action randomly. They think that being busy is the same as being productive. But the truth is that not every action is useful. Many times you are working very hard, but the result is 0. Why? Because you are investing your energy and resources in the wrong place. This is exactly where strategic action and resource allocation comes in. Meaning using the limited energy, time, and focus you have in the right direction. First, understand one uncomfortable truth. You do not have unlimited energy. Your mind, your body, your time, all of it is limited. If you throw yourself into everything without understanding this, you will quickly exhaust yourself. So the first step is to do an audit. What resources do you actually have available? This audit is not just about money or time. It is also about mental energy. Ask yourself, how much focus capacity do I have right now? How physically active am I? What is my stress level? Because if you are already mentally drained and still trying to do high-intensity work, you are overextending yourself. Now here is another mistake that happens. People spend too much energy on low-impact tasks, like chasing perfection in small things, doing unnecessary planning, or spending time on work whose outcome makes little difference. All of this looks productive, but it is actually draining energy. Strategic thinking says that before doing any task, you should ask yourself, what is the impact of this? If a task is not moving you forward, it is simply a distraction. No matter how busy it makes you look, you need to put your resources on high-impact tasks, the ones where actual progress comes from. Now, the second powerful shift comes, moving from why to how. Whenever something goes wrong, our default mode is to ask, why did this happen to me? What mistake did I make? Why did this go this way? These questions are natural, but they do not move you forward. They trap you in the past. When you keep asking why, you get tangled up in analysis. Your mind keeps searching for reasons, but the situation stays right where it is. So the strategic approach says to get out of why as quickly as possible and move to how. Ask yourself, okay, this happened. How can I neutralize this within the next 24 hours? This question puts you in action mode. It shifts your focus from the problem to the solution. Neutralize does not mean you will completely solve the problem. It means you will bring the situation under enough control that it does not get worse. Like if there is a fire, first you need to put it out. We can figure out how it started later. When you set the 24-hour frame, both urgency and clarity arrive together. Now you are not thinking vaguely. You are building a specific action plan. Your mind understands exactly what it needs to do right now. Now the third step is disciplined time blocking. This concept is simple but very powerful. It means you divide your day into blocks, and each block has one clear purpose. What do most people do? They start the day without a plan. They keep doing whatever comes up in front of them. The result is that the day ends, but nothing meaningful gets accomplished. Because their time went into reactive mode, not proactive mode. Time blocking gives you control. You decide what to do at what time. And most importantly, during that time you do only that. Nothing else. Say you have 3 major tasks that can improve your situation. Instead of jumping between all 3 throughout the day, you assign each one to a separate time block. Like morning time for deep work, afternoon for execution, and evening for review. When you do this, your focus improves. Because now your mind is not scattered. It knows that, at this time, I only have to do this one thing. This reduces distractions and increases efficiency. Now let's understand a small real-life example. Say someone's freelance work suddenly dried up. Income dropped and pressure increased. Now, in a panic, they start applying everywhere, start randomly learning new skills, and stay busy all day. But results don't come. If they adopt the strategic action approach, first they will do a resource audit. They will see what skills they have, how much time is available, and what their energy level is. Then they will identify which tasks are high impact, like reaching out to potential clients or improving their service offering. Now, instead of getting stuck on why clients are not coming, they will think, what can I do in the next 24 hours to improve the situation? Maybe they update their portfolio, do targeted outreach, or focus on a specific niche. Then they will do time blocking. 2 hours in the morning for outreach, afternoon for skill improvement, and evening for follow-ups. Now, every hour has a purpose. They are not working randomly. They are moving strategically. Within a few days, results will start showing because their energy is going in the right direction. Now, here is one more important thing to understand. Discipline. Because this entire system will only work when you follow it consistently. In the beginning, you will feel like breaking the plan, taking shortcuts, or going back to old patterns. But if you maintain discipline every time, gradually it will become your habit. Strategic action does not mean you will work more. It means you will work on the right things. And when the right things are done consistently, results are almost guaranteed. In the end, understand this. Not every problem in life can be solved through brute force. Not everything can be fixed with more effort. Sometimes a smarter approach is what is truly needed. When you understand your resources, allocate them to the right places, and take action in a structured way, the very situation that seemed impossible before starts to feel manageable. And this is the real difference between being busy and being effective. Busy people get tired. Effective people move forward. So the next time pressure comes in life, do not take action blindly. First think, build a plan, and then move strategically. Because a small step taken in the right direction is far more powerful than running frantically in the wrong one. Lesson 5. Future-proofing and resilience integration. When a difficult time passes, what do most people do? They simply breathe a sigh of relief and move on, as if nothing happened. But right here they miss a very big opportunity. Because every crisis is not just a problem. It is a hidden training session. If you process it correctly, that very experience can make you almost unbreakable for the future. This is the concept of future-proofing and resilience integration. Meaning, whatever you just handled, turn it into a system that automatically makes you stronger tomorrow. Think about it. If every time a problem arrives you have to start from zero again, panic again, figure out again what to do, that takes an enormous amount of energy. But if you have a blueprint, a repeatable process, you will be able to handle the same situation much faster and much more calmly. So the first step is exactly this. Whatever you just resolved, do not let it remain a random experience. Convert it into structure. Ask yourself, how did I handle this situation? Which steps worked? Which did not? Where was time wasted? Where did clarity come from? Note all of this mentally or in writing. Gradually, you will start to see a pattern. Like you will realize that when you paused, things got better. When you removed distractions, progress happened. When you took action, momentum built. This pattern is your blueprint. The next time a similar situation arrives, you will not need to run a new experiment. You will directly follow that blueprint. This will reduce your response time, reduce stress, and increase efficiency. Now the second step is the crisis postmortem. This word sounds a bit technical, but its meaning is simple. After things have settled down, sitting calmly and analyzing what actually happened. Without emotion, without blame, just observation. Here you will need to be honest. Because if you keep blaming only external factors, you will not learn anything. You need to see where the gap was in the system. Were you unprepared? Was your decision-making weak? Did you ignore early warning signals? Was your focus in the wrong place? This analysis can be uncomfortable because it requires you to accept your own mistakes. But this is exactly the point of growth. Because until you know where the problem was, you cannot fix it. And this is not a one-time process. You need to make it a regular habit. After every major event, take a little time to review it. This causes your mind to gradually evolve. Your mental frameworks become stronger. Now understand what mental frameworks means. These are basically the internal systems you use to make decisions, understand problems, and react. If these frameworks are weak, you will remain confused every time. But if they are strong, you will be able to handle even complex situations with ease. The world of 2026 and beyond is going to be fast and unpredictable. Competition will increase, changes will happen more rapidly, and pressure will be greater. In such a world, just working hard will not be enough. You will also need to be smart and adaptable. And this adaptability only comes when you have strong mental frameworks. Now the third and most important transformation comes. Shifting from a victim mindset to a strategist mindset. This is an internal shift that can change your entire life. What is a victim mindset? In this, a person considers themselves a victim of the situation. They feel that things are going wrong for them and they are powerless. They blame people, circumstances, luck. And because they see themselves as powerless, they do not take action either. The strategist mindset is the complete opposite. In this, a person sees every situation as data. They set emotion aside and ask themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I avoid or handle this better next time? Where is the opportunity in this? When you become a strategist, problems do not frighten you. They become information. Every obstacle becomes a signal for where to improve. Now let's take a small real-life example. Say someone decided to learn a new skill, but a few months later they realized they could not maintain consistency. They keep starting and stopping. If they are in a victim mindset, they will say, I don't have time. I am not disciplined. Maybe this is just not for me. And they will stop trying. But if that same person adopts the strategist mindset, they will analyze this experience. They will see where the breakdown happened. Did they set unrealistic goals? Was their environment too distracting? Did they fail to build a system? Then they will use this data to change their approach.